Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to be conferred with top awards of Guyana and Barbados to co-chair the second India CARICOM Summit today. US closes its Kyiv embassy over an anticipated air attack. This comes after Vladimir Putin raises the spectre of nuclear war. Benjamin Netanyahu makes a surprise visit to Gaza, offers a $5 million reward for each hostage returned. Goa is all set to host the 55th edition of the International Film Festival of India. 101 countries to showcase 270 films. And end of an era, King of Clay, Rafael Nadal retires after an illustrious career. So after concluding a constructive and fruitful G20 Brazil visit, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Guyana on the last leg of his three-nation tour. In an unprecedented gesture, he was received at the Georgetown airport by Guyanese President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali. Prime Minister Mark Antony Phillips, senior ministers and other dignitaries also accompanied to welcome Prime Minister Modi. The Prime Minister of India was accorded a ceremonial welcome upon his arrival at the airport. This is the first ever visit of an Indian Prime Minister in over 5 decades. In a social media post, Prime Minister Modi expressed confidence that his visit will deepen the friendship between the two countries. During the two-day visit, the two sides will exchange views on giving strategic direction to our unique relationship, which is based on shared heritage, culture and values. PM Modi will also pay his respects to one of the oldest Indian diaspora who migrated more than 185 years ago and engage a fellow democracy as he addresses the Guyanese Parliament. During this visit, PM Modi will also join leaders from the Caribbean partner countries for the second India CARICOM Summit. The summit will enable the leaders to renew historical ties and expand our cooperation into new domains. From the airport, Prime Minister Modi went to the hotel where he was received by Guyana's President, Prime Ministers of Grenada and Barbados, besides the Cabinet of Guyana. In a special gesture, Prime Minister Modi was handed over the key to the city of Georgetown by the Mayor of Georgetown as a testament to the close India-Guyana ties. The hotel lobby was adorned with vibrant cultural displays and the atmosphere was filled with a sense of pride and celebration upon the arrival of the Indian Prime Minister. And inside the hotel, the Indian and Guyanese community greeted Prime Minister Modi with traditional hospitality, showcasing their respect and admiration for him. Meanwhile, Guyana will confer its highest national award, the Order of Excellence, on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Barbados too will confer the prestigious Honorary Order of Freedom of Barbados on Prime Minister Modi. Dominica had too announced its highest national award, the Dominica Award of Honor, on Prime Minister Modi a few days ago. The number of international honours for Prime Minister Modi have now reached 19. Guyana hopes to expand its cooperation with India into newer areas such as energy, food security, technology and military hardware. In an exclusive interview with DD India's Ramesh Ramachandran, Guyana's President Dr. Mohammad Irfan Ali said that he has personally witnessed the transformation of India under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi.
Global leadership does not happen by accident. Global leadership occurs when you have strong local leadership in the country itself. And Prime Minister Modi has demonstrated a strength of leadership that has really positioned India globally and has opened up many opportunities for India and a greater level of regard for India. So what I've seen in India is a country that is accelerating at a rapid pace.
President Ali said that he wants Guyana to benefit from India's success in the fields of digitalization and innovation.
Within the coming weeks, we will launch our Forest Guyana Digital School, which is built off of an Indian platform. We have thousands of students studying online at various Indian universities. So what I would say is that a lot of the technological advancement in improving governance efficiency, improving access to service, expanding access to service that you have mastered. Of course, we want to learn and to adopt those technologies here.
Earlier, Prime Minister Modi concluded his two-day Brazil visit with significant bilateral meetings with leaders of Australia, Brazil, Chile and Argentina. During their respective meetings, leaders took stock of a full range of shared relationships. With the Australian counterpart, Anthony Albanese, Prime Minister Modi held the second India-Australia Annual Summit. Both the leaders committed to further advance their comprehensive strategic partnership.
On the second day of the G20, on the sidelines of the summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held the second India-Australia Annual Summit and bilateral meeting with counterpart Anthony Albanese. Both leaders reiterated their commitment to further advance India-Australia comprehensive strategic partnership in myriad areas. Besides, they also welcomed the launch of renewable energy partnership. PM Modi said that in the last 2 years, India-Australia ties grew immensely in several sectors.
पिछले 2 वर्षों में हमारे आपसी व्यापार में 40% वृद्धि हुई है। रक्षा क्षेत्र में जॉइंट एक्सरसाइज, यंग ऑफिसर्स के बीच एक्सचेंज और हमारे प्लेटफॉर्म्स के डिप्लॉयमेंट को बढ़ावा मिला है।
While Australian Prime Minister too welcomed the launch of India-Australia Renewable Energy Partnership.
Today I am delighted to welcome the launch of the India-Australia Renewable Energy Partnership. This is a significant milestone in our cooperation. Our new partnership will boost two-way investment in renewable energy projects like solar PV manufacturing, battery mineral processing, green hydrogen and green iron.
PM Modi also held a bilateral meeting with Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. President Lula told PM Modi that they have incorporated several things in their G20 which were also inspired from India's presidency. He added that Brazil wanted to reach the level of efficiency in organizing the summit that India had shown last year. Leaders also took stock of the full range of bilateral ties between two nations and reaffirmed their commitment to improve cooperation in sectors like energy, biofuels, defense, agriculture and more.
With the President of Chile, the two sides discussed the potential in areas such as trade and pharmaceutical cooperation. There are discussions on a commercial cooperation agreement that are ongoing between the two sides. Meeting between Prime Minister and the President of Argentina, Javier Milei. The two leaders exchanged their thoughts and their experience in handling issues related to governance.
After Brazil, Prime Minister Modi met Chilean President Gabriel Boric Font. India's ties with Chile are getting stronger across various sectors. The talks focused on ways to deepen relations in pharmaceuticals, technology, space, and more. PM Modi said it is gladdening to see Ayurveda gaining popularity in Chile, and ties in this sector can gain momentum. Besides, the Prime Minister also had an outstanding meeting with Argentinian President Javier Milei, after which he said that India cherishes the close friendship with Argentina. They talked about enhancing ties in energy, defense production, trade and culture. India-Argentina strategic partnership marks 5 years, adding immense vibrancy to bilateral relations. Earlier on day one of his Rio visit, Prime Minister Modi held bilateral talks with the leaders of US, the UK, France, Norway, Italy, Indonesia and Portugal. Bureau Report, DD India.
Meanwhile, the group of 20 economies on Tuesday wrapped up their two-day meeting, underscoring the need for collective action to combat climate change, poverty and other global challenges. On day two, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a session on sustainable development and energy transition, emphasizing the need for collective efforts to build a sustainable future. He highlighted the achievements of India being the first G20 country to meet its Paris commitments.
And with this, the 19th G20 Summit ended. On world's major economies working on deepening global cooperation with one aim, a better future. G20 leaders' declaration focused on sustainable development, growth, fighting poverty and harnessing technology.
Declaration focuses on hunger and poverty, it focuses on climate and energy, it focuses on developmental issues, it focuses a lot on accelerating the pace of sustainable development goals. There's been a huge emphasis on climate and energy also, but it also focuses a lot on a major component of this was geopolitics. The declaration has underlines the immense human suffering and adverse impacts of ongoing conflicts.
With focus on fighting poverty, the G20 summit in Brazil was mostly focused on ways to tackle poverty and hunger. India also joined the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty. India is one of 147 founding members of the alliance.
Leaders of G20 were invited, countries and heads of international organizations, they were all invited. Then they have participated and launched the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty. And India has also joined this alliance as one of the 147 founding members. This includes about 81 countries, the African Union and European Union, 24 international organizations, 9 international financial institutions, and 31 philanthropic and non-governmental organizations.
On day 2 of the summit, leaders participated in a session on sustainable development and energy transition. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the session and welcomed Brazil's decision to take forward India's sustainable development priorities. Prime Minister Modi elaborated on the steps taken by India to foster sustainable development. PM stated that India has provided housing to 40 million families in the last 10 years. He added that 120 million households have been provided with clean drinking water in the last 5 years. PM highlighted that India was the first G20 country to meet its Paris climate goal commitments. Prime Minister spoke about the global initiatives taken by India, such as the International Solar Alliance, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, Mission Life, One Sun, One World, One Grid, and Global Biofuel Alliance to foster a sustainable planet. Prime Minister urged countries to support the Global Development Compact announced by India at the 3rd Voice of the Global South Summit. On the sidelines of the summit, the declaration on digital public infrastructure, artificial intelligence and data for governance were adopted. These offer a roadmap towards a more sustainable planet. With inputs from Gautam Rai, Bureau Report, DD India.
Also, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi witnessed a performance on the Indian mythological epic Ramayana by students of Vishwa Vidya Gurukulam, a Brazilian organization dedicated to promoting Vedanta and Sanskrit.
Sadashiva Samarambham Shankar Guru Paramparam Shri Jagan Mataram Devim Stetadhe Padmakasanam. Brasil Deshasya Punya Bhumyam Swagatam Vandanam Abhinandanam Chakaroti Vishwavidyayaha Charyaha Vishwanataha Pratamam Vedanta Gurukulam Asmat Bihi Udgatitam Bhavishyati Vishwavidya Gurukulam Iti Namna.
So it was a fitting finale, is that how we can describe it. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi witnessed 9.5-minute version of Ramayana performed by Brazilian students of Vishwavidya Gurukulam before his departure from Rio, where he was part of the G20 Summit. DD India's Gautam Roy spoke to some of the students and their acharya or teacher, Jonas Massetti, about the performance, which the Prime Minister described as Uttam, which means excellent in Sanskrit.
Unique 9.5-minute presentation of the entire Ramayana is what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been witness to here in Brazil, far out Brazil, so far away from India. And the people who put it together are with us. We have Acharya Massetti with us. If we could talk to him, thank you for joining DD India. Could you tell us how were you inspired to come up with this unique, really, version of the Ramayana in just 9.5 minutes?
Well, all the students and the dedication that they put in studying Vedanta and Sanskrit, brought this idea of presenting something that would make it concise, at the same time give a lot of meaningful and respect for this tradition. So Ramayana was the perfect choice.
How was the reaction from the audience, particularly Prime Minister Modi? Did he have something to say about the performance of your students?
It was very nice. On the opening, he was looking in my eyes and I could feel that he was understanding our purpose here. And then during the performance, he was very attentive, and in the end, I felt the impact that the performance had done. And he said it was Uttamam, it was like wonderful, so we were very delighted that we managed to do this job of representing all the students that are putting the efforts in the Vedic tradition.
What sort of channeling of acting did you have to do to play Hanuman, who is the most loyal follower of Lord Ram?
It was a big challenge, but I felt that from the start that I need to connect to my inner force. So Hanuman gave me force for that, give me the energy to study Sanskrit, to study Vedanta. During our study, we usually used to chant the some verse from Ramayana. And by the time that we keep going, studying, I felt more and more connected with the character.
A very inspiration tale is what Ramayana is, and it's very heartening to see how it's inspiring people to enact it so many eons later as well in a land far off from India, Brazil, and that's what the people saw here, including Prime Minister Modi, and it was much appreciated. With camera person Loknath, this is Gautam Roy, Rio, Brazil, DD India.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. Russian President Vladimir Putin approves new nuclear doctrine. US says it sees no reason to adjust its nuclear posture. Donald Trump taps Linda McMahon as Education Secretary. Dr. Mehmet Oz to oversee Medicare and Medicaid. And Howard Lutnick to lead the Commerce Department. And SpaceX launches its 6th test flight of Starship spacecraft from South Texas, with President-elect Donald Trump in attendance. watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. Next, in the latest in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the US Embassy in Ukraine's Kyiv is closed after receiving information of a potential significant air attack on Wednesday. The US Department of State Consular Affairs stated the same in a statement and instructed the embassy employees and US citizens in Kyiv to immediately shelter in an event of an air alert. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a new nuclear doctrine on Tuesday, intending as a warning to Washington. The updated Russian nuclear doctrine establishes a framework that could order the use of atomic weapons in response to attack that threaten its territorial integrity. Also, the warning comes after Ukraine struck Russia with US-made ATACMS missiles. Ukraine struck Russia with US ATACMS missiles for the first time on the 1,000th day of the conflict. US President Joe Biden's administration on Sunday allowed Ukraine to use US-made weapons to strike against Russia in Russia. Meanwhile, speaking to Fox News channel, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed fear that he might lose against Russia if the US cuts military funding to Kyiv. The statement came amid beliefs that President-elect Donald Trump could help influence an end to the ongoing conflict.
Cut, I think we will lose. Of course, anyway, we will stay, we will fight. We have our production, but it's not enough to prevail, and I think it's not enough to survive. But that will be, if such choice will be American choice, so we will decide what we will have to do.
DD India's Jessica Taneja joins us with more on the story now. Jessica, what more are you gathering on the US shutting its embassy in Kyiv over potential air attack?
That's correct. As the report points out, the significant threat due to which the embassy in Kyiv has been shut today, of course, signals the fact that there could be a possible escalation or a strike from the Russian side, given how the events have panned out in the last 24 hours, which also marked 1,000th day of the Russia-Ukraine conflict that we've been witnessing for almost more than 3 years now. February would, of course, mark the 3 years. And the highlight of the moment also is at the moment, Tanvi, that the US has also approved the use of, or providing in fact, the anti-personnel mines to Ukraine, and that has invited a lot of criticism from human rights groups, saying that once deployed, those could stay there for a number of years and could potentially threaten livelihood, and the future possibility of escalation could get worse from this point. But what we do know at this moment is that the Russian side, as you've heard yesterday as well from the Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov at the G20 Summit in Rio, say that we are trying to avoid every option that would require a nuclear solution. That is his press conference yesterday, and he also said that we're not looking to see a further escalation, but the strikes within Russian state, especially in the region of Bryansk, which had housed weapons facility. Although 6 missiles were targeted from the ATACMS, or the Army Tactile Missile System provided to Ukraine by the Americans. 5 of them were shot down, but 1 missile did manage to damage the stockpile. And the region, remember, is also about 250 miles away from Kremlin. So this will not be taken well, Tanvi.
A serious escalation is expected in the days ahead, seems like. Thank you, Jessica. Jessica Taneja reporting from New Delhi on the story. On to West Asia. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited Gaza on Tuesday and said that Hamas would not rule the Palestinian enclave after the conflict in the region ends. Meanwhile, the UN Security Council is set to vote on a draft resolution on Wednesday calling for a ceasefire in Gaza to end the violence.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asserted that Hamas would not rule the Palestinian enclave after the war had ended and that Israel had destroyed military capabilities of Hamas. He said this during his visit to Gaza with his defense minister and army chief.
Hamas will not rule Gaza. We are eliminating its military capabilities in a very impressive way. We are moving on its governmental capabilities and the hand is outstretched. Hamas will not be in Gaza. We are also making an effort from this place and everyone to locate all hostages and return them. We are not letting up on this. We will continue to do this until we get them all.
The UN Security Council will vote on Wednesday on a draft resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza to end the conflict. However, the US may veto the resolution due to its strong alliance with Israel. Meanwhile, senior US and Israeli officials will meet early next month for the first talks in a new channel set up by Washington to assess civilian casualties. The US is continuing its efforts for a ceasefire in Lebanon. White House envoy Amos Hochstein met Parliament Speaker Nabir Berri in Beirut this week. US State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said an agreement to end the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah was within reach on Tuesday.
So you might have seen that the President's Special Envoy Amos Hochstein was in Beirut today, meeting with the Speaker of the Lebanese Parliament. He gave a press statement after that where he made clear that we have made significant progress and that an agreement is within reach, but it's going to take decisions by both parties, by both Israel and Lebanon, to actually get an agreement, and that's what we're going to continue to push for.
Meanwhile, strike continues across the borders as smoke rose from the rubble in Lebanon's Nabatea, and emergency crews searched and worked to clear debris from heavily damaged buildings after blasts hit the town. Bureau Report, DD India.
Shifting focus to the US now, where President-elect Donald Trump is forging ahead with his presidential transition, announcing a list of loyalists for top roles and a string of controversial cabinet picks. He has named Linda McMahon as the Education Secretary. McMahon headed up the Small Business Administration in Trump's first administration and was a major donor and early supporter of the Republican president-elect when he first ran for the White House almost a decade ago. Trump has also named his pick for the post of the Administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Celebrity Dr. Mehmet Oz would work closely with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has been nominated to lead the Department of Health and Human Services. Trump said that the pair would take on the illness industrial complex and all the horrible chronic diseases left in its wake, as well as cutting what he called waste and fraud. The last announcement made on Tuesday included the name of Cantor Fitzgerald, CEO Howard Lutnick, who will lead the Commerce Department in Trump's 2.0 cabinet. US Presidential-elect Donald Trump met SpaceX owner Elon Musk on Tuesday at the launch of Elon Musk's company SpaceX's sixth test flight of the Starship spacecraft from South Texas. The rocket made a safe landing and stayed intact on Tuesday night as it splashed down in the Indian Ocean. SpaceX opted to land the ship's Super Heavy booster in the Gulf of Mexico rather than on land. Starship did not ignite one of its Raptor engines successfully while in space for the first time. SpaceX plans to eventually use Starship to carry convoys of people to the Moon and Mars. It also is the vehicle that NASA selected to land American astronauts on the lunar surface as soon as 2026. Jailed Hong Kong media tycoon Jimmy Lai has defended his newspaper Apple Daily as a strong advocate for democracy and freedom during his national security trial on Wednesday. Lai stated that the core values of the newspaper, such as that of rule of law, democracy, freedom of speech, religion and assembly, reflect the principles held by the people of Hong Kong. While Beijing slammed Lai as an agent and lackey for anti-China forces, the Foreign Ministry spokesman Lin Jian said that Lai is the main plotter and participant of the anti-China chaos in Hong Kong. The case centers around articles in the newspaper that supported huge, sometimes violent pro-democracy protests in 2019 and criticized Beijing's leadership. The 76-year-old has been imprisoned for nearly 4 years and could face a life sentence. And next we take a look at other stories making news around the world. At least 2 people are missing in a possible gas explosion that destroyed a home in a condominium complex in eastern Michigan on Tuesday. Rescue efforts are underway as dozens of firefighters tried to contain the fire. Authorities are speculating that the explosion could have been gas-related but have not confirmed. Claude Monet's Nymphéas netted $59 million during Sotheby's Automart sale in New York City on Monday. The painting was part of the collection of late beauty industry entrepreneur Seidel Miller. This was the first time the piece had come up for auction. Dragon Ball fans on Wednesday celebrated 40 years of the globally beloved Japanese manga, anime and video game franchise, just months after creator Akira Toriyama's unexpected death. The comic books have sold more than 260 million copies in Japan and worldwide. The original Dragon Ball manga was first serialized on November 20th, 1984. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Maharashtra and Jharkhand vote in the assembly polls today, counting to be held on 23rd of November. Delhi government proposes artificial rainfall as an emergency measure to mitigate pollution.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. A reminder of the headlines we are tracking at this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to be conferred with top awards of Guyana and Barbados to co-chair the second India CARICOM Summit today. US closes its Kyiv embassy over anticipated air attack. This comes after Vladimir Putin raised the spectre of nuclear war. Benjamin Netanyahu makes a surprise visit to Gaza, offers a $5 million reward for each hostage returned. And in updates from India now, Maharashtra and Jharkhand are voting today in the high-stakes assembly elections that will decide the fate of the ruling and the opposition political alliances in the two states. While polling in Maharashtra is being conducted in a single phase, Jharkhand is voting in the second and final phase today. Voting in both the states began at 7 in the morning and will end at 6 in the evening local time. In Maharashtra, a total of 4,136 candidates are contesting across 288 constituencies, whereas in Maharashtra, voter turnout percentage was 18.14% till 11 a.m. Indian Standard Time. In Jharkhand, over 500 candidates, including Chief Minister Hemant Soren and his wife Kalpana Soren, are contesting in the 38 of the total 81 assembly seats. Counting of votes in both the states will take place on Saturday. In Jharkhand, 31.37% voting took place till 11 a.m. Indian Standard Time.
I'm 87. Still, I say it is my duty to vote.
The voters would be vote for your conscience, that you know that who will work for you and he is better for the society.
Considering we keep saying India has such a youthful population, it's really nice to see them again getting involved in politics instead of, earlier it was like I don't know, nothing's in my control. Everything is in our control if we come together as a big group.
I always vote for progress for the state and the country, and I vote looking at myself as an Indian. Yeah.
I have voted for a stable government, for development, for betterment of Mumbai. Mumbai has so much potential. We need to make it much better than what it is, and I think we can do that if we get up and vote.
So as voting is underway in Maharashtra elections, many celebrities also exercise their franchise. Prominent celebrity siblings Farhan and Zoya Akhtar cast their vote in Mumbai. Actors Ritesh Deshmukh with his wife Janelia also cast their vote in the ongoing elections. Other Bollywood celebrities like Anupam Kher, Subhash Ghai and Ali Faisal also cast their votes. Shama Mishra from Mumbai joins us on the story now. Shama, have you been to any of the polling booths? What is the... Oh, you are at one of the polling booths. So what is the atmosphere there and the enthusiasm among voters? And is the voting proceeding peacefully?
Well, yes, it is proceeding peacefully, but very slowly. And if we are to tell you about 1 p.m. voter turnout percentage, it's just 32% in Maharashtra. And specifically talking about Mumbai city and Mumbai suburban, it's hardly reached 30%. So it's 27 and 30% respectively. So you can understand that a lot of people are yet to vote, are yet to come out and exercise their vote. Right now we are here at St. Anne's school, which is a polling booth known for its celebrities presently, and so far we've seen various filmmakers, Kunal Kohli, Rakesh Om Prakash Mehra. We've also seen various actors, Ranveer Singh, we've seen Isha Kopikar, we've seen a lot of people who've come here and exercised their vote, they've cast their vote, and just with one appeal to people who are yet to vote, that it hardly takes 5 minutes to come here and vote. And if you are seeing the various initiatives taken by the Election Commission of India, every booth, if you see, has a spread of at least 5 centers wherein people can go and cast their vote, and it will not take very long for them to vote. Here also a lot of senior citizens and super senior citizens have come out and vote, and overall in Maharashtra or Mumbai, if you see, you've already seen that a lot of stalwarts have exercised their right early in the morning around 7 and 8 a.m. So we can understand that the people who the common man look up to, they've already exercised their vote, but yes, we are still waiting for
the
a lot
poll
of people
percentage
who are yet to vote,
cover
and
up.
They should come ahead.
Yes. So in your assessment, Shama, are the expectations of a closely fought election with narrow margins of victories or big victory margins?
Well, it's too soon to say, but if we are to say about the voters and how they have chosen their fight, how they've chosen their pattern, it's definitely for the cause and not for the face of the candidate. So here also in Bandra, if we are talking about people are choosing for progress, people are choosing development, and obviously it's not fair on our part to ask the name of the candidate for which they voted, but yes, this is something which the voters are keeping in mind, and this is especially the localized issues, because this is Vidhan Sabha elections, this is the state elections, and we can understand that the issues related to the national or the international level is very different from what affects the people here on the ground at the Vidhan Sabha level. So what we saw in the Lok Sabha elections, the results, it's too hard to predict, but yes, and it's always said that Maharashtra is one particular state where the voter expert, the election experts could also not predict what exactly is happening, what exactly is going to happen. But yes, there are many seats which is easy to predict, and there are seats where the candidates are standing and winning since decades. And one such seat, if we are to talk about, is Malabar Hill, from where the Mahayuti candidate and also the State Minister Mangal Prabhat Lodha, he's standing. He's won 6 times, and now he's standing for the 7th time. So it's an easy fight over there. What's a tough fight, what we can call, in Mumbai is the Worli seat. You would be knowing about that particular seat, which is much talked about, and this particular seat is where Aditya Thackeray, the son of Uddhav Thackeray, he's standing, and last election he had stood for the first time, and the platform or the space was made in such a way that people voted in large numbers for him, and he got an easy win. But this time around, he has opponents. He has opponents from Mahayuti and also from the MNS. So now people have choices, and this will be a tough fight.
Yeah,
and
so we are hoping the poll numbers, we are hoping the poll numbers will rise further as the day progresses. Thank you, Shama Mishra, reporting from Mumbai. India's Defence Minister Rajat Singh will attend the 11th ASEAN Defence Ministers Meeting Plus in Laos PDR. The minister departed for Vientiane in Laos on Wednesday and will be there till November 22nd. At the ADMM Plus, Singh will address the forum on regional and international security issues. On the sidelines of the meet, he will hold separate bilateral meetings with his counterparts from other nations aimed at further enhancing bilateral defence cooperation. ADMM is the highest defence consultative and cooperative mechanism in ASEAN and a platform for ASEAN member states. A group of 26 Nepali diplomats and officers from across 10 key ministries and departments of the government of Nepal is visiting India from 20 to 30th of November to participate in the special training program at the Ministry of External Affairs in New Delhi. Deputy Chief of Mission at the Embassy of India, Prasanna Srivastava, interacted with the diplomats and officers prior to their visit. Their training program will include modules on issues of global political and economic relevance, trade, connectivity, climate change and humanitarian assistance, development partnership, shared culture and heritage, and visits to cities and places of historical and tourist interest outside New Delhi. Nepali intellectuals and guests from India and Bangladesh deliberated on the growing emphasis on a free and open Indo-Pacific that strengthens Japan's ties with South Asia. The guests spoke at a discussion program organized on Japan-South Asia relations by the Center of Diplomacy and Development, Kathmandu, and Japan Foundation, New Delhi. In Kathmandu on Tuesday, Japan has been a close aid to South Asia in multiple sectors. India's ambassador and chairman of the Center for Diplomacy and Development in Kathmandu, Mohan Krishna Shrestha, highlighted how, following Japan's recovery after the Second World War, South Asia was among the regions that extended diplomatic recognition and support.
International field, situation is changing. What is changing? You all know. There are wars going on in Ukraine and in the Middle East, and also Japan is always threat from attack of the missiles from North Korea. So now slowly Japanese have begun to rethink that actually one's defense should be taken at their own hand.
So Delhi's air quality remains in the severe plus category with toxic pollution choking the capital for the second day. Delhi Police is conducting vehicle checks to ensure proper implementation of Stage 4 of the Graded Response Action Plan. GRAP Stage 4 enforces a ban on the operation of Delhi-registered BS4 and older diesel-operated medium goods vehicles and heavy goods vehicles except those engaged in essential service. The Delhi government has proposed artificial rainfall to be carried out in the capital as an emergency measure to mitigate pollution. It has also urged the central government to intervene, requesting Prime Minister Narendra Modi's assistance in facilitating artificial rain in the national capital.
It will more or less will remain in severe category. Little improvement will be there in next 2 days. But still it will remain in severe category, or it may come to very poor category.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. Aerospace firms urge more European collaboration ahead of a second Trump administration in the United States. Defending champion India to take on China in the final of Women's Asians Champions Trophy. And PV Sindhu and Malvika Bansor booked their spots in the second round at the China Masters. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Tanvi Taneja. No business sector has seen as much of an uptick in recent years as the defense sector in Europe for obvious reasons, as two major wars are playing out in Ukraine and in West Asia. For many businesses, the question is how to position themselves in this environment. The CEO of Pan-European Airbus said that some consolidation might be helpful. Lars Holter is with us from Deutsche Welle Berlin and joins me on the story now. Lars, what exactly are you hearing from Airbus?
Me. Yes, indeed, the group's CEO, Guillaume Faury, says that Europe's space industry, he initially started with that, but later expanded his comments to defense, needs to restructure and consolidate in the face of a private US competition and investments in China and elsewhere. To quote Monsieur Faury, he says, we are fragmented in a world where some giants have emerged, especially in the US, but not only. They are also growing in China. As for the US, SpaceX has become a giant in the field, supplying NASA with rockets and technology and pretty much single-handedly saving the country's space program. Now, SpaceX is obviously owned and run by Elon Musk, who is now President-elect Trump's best buddy. And with that, his standing, and most certainly the standing of his company, will grow. So as not to be left in the dust, the Airbus CEO says that his company and France's Thales Alenia Space and Italy's Leonardo are in early talks on a possible tie-up of their individual satellite activities.
And how are others in the business reacting? After all, consolidation is usually not popular if you're not part of the right group.
That's correct, but here we're seeing consent. Take Mikael Johansson, the CEO of Swedish defense firm Saab, who also said that European nations needed to collaborate more on defense and buy more from European suppliers. He actually says that Europe was facing a make or break moment on defense, which I guess sounds a bit dramatic because the European defense sector is also booking record revenues and profits. After all, war is their business, and we have Russia's war in Ukraine coming towards the end of its third year, with Germany and other European allies supporting Ukraine with weapons. And we have the war in the Middle East. And then, of course, we have the most recent developments in the United States, where a new administration will certainly ask for NATO partners to invest more in defense. That's a song we've heard before from Trump. He always wanted partners to pay up, and they did. Germany has upped its defense spending. Others did too. Now, not necessarily to please Trump, of course, but rather in reaction to a changing geopolitical environment and a heightened threat level.
Thank you, Lars. Lars Holter reporting from DW Berlin. And now let's take stock of some of the sporting action coming in. Defending champions India will take on China in the final of the Women's Asian Champions Trophy 2024 at the Rajgir Hockey Stadium in Bihar on Wednesday. India secured its place in the final with a close 2-0 win over Japan in the semi-finals, with Navneet Kaur and Lal Remsiame on the score sheet in the space of 8 minutes. Meanwhile, China made the summit clash on the back of a 3-1 win over Malaysia in the other semi-final. Deng Kuqian, Fan Shunxia and Tan Jinshuang were the scorers for China. PV Sindhu and Malvika Bansod booked their spots in the second round of the BWF World Tour Super 750 tournament in Shenzhen, China Masters on Wednesday. Two-time Olympic medalist Sindhu defeated Thailand's Busanan Ongbangrungpan 21-17, 21-19 in 50 minutes. Sindhu will face the winner of the match between Singapore's Yeo Jia Min and Hong Kong's Lo Sin Yan Happy in the next round. Meanwhile, Malvika Bansod beat Denmark's Lien Kjærsfeldt 20-22, 23-21, 21-16 in a match that lasted an hour and 14 minutes. Bansod will take on Thailand's Supanida Karthitong in the round of 16. Rafael Nadal's illustrious career came to an end on Tuesday as Spain lost to the Netherlands in the Davis Cup in Malaga. Holding back his tears, Nadal tried to compose himself in front of his fans, who also got very emotional seeing their legend retire from the sport of tennis. In his speech, Nadal thanked his fans and said that he was leaving behind tennis with a peace of mind, with a personal legacy he can be proud of.
Tennis legend Rafael Nadal bit his lower lip and his reddened eyes welled with tears as he stood alongside his Davis Cup teammates for Spain's national anthem at what him and everyone knew might be the last match of his career. Hours after Nadal's loss to both Doordarshan of Netherlands was over, the evening did not turn out to represent the 22-time Grand Slam champion's farewell to professional tennis because the Dutch eliminated the Spaniards in the quarterfinals just after midnight. And it was during an on-court post-match ceremony to honor Nadal that he cried and cried at the singing chorus of Rafa from the spectators. At the video showing highlights from his more than 2 decades on tour and the collection of recorded tributes from tennis legends like Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic.
Of course, have been an emotional day, nerves before what can be my last singles match like a professional. That's the way that I felt that. And then, yeah, of course, the emotions, feeling the national anthem for the last time like a professional have been, very special. In some ways, good. Maybe if that was my last match, that was my last match. If nothing happens, I lost my first match in the Davis Cup, and I lost my last one. So we closed the circle.
One of the greatest tennis players in the history of the game, Nadal won everything there was to win and defined a golden era in the sport. His 92 singles career titles include 22 Grand Slams, a record 14 French Open titles, and Olympic gold at Beijing 2008. He also collected a doubles gold at Rio Olympics 2016 and 4 Davis Cup titles. A light projection featuring a 10-meter image of Nadal was also projected near the Eiffel Tower to mark the nearing end of the iconic player's career in the sport. When the matches, the ceremony, the night, and his career were over, Nadal hugged his teammates and left the court, pausing to wave a goodbye to his fans one last time. Sports Desk, DD India.
And the stage is all set for the grand opening ceremony of the 55th Indian International Film Festival, IFFI, in the picturesque West Indian state of Goa. DD India's Deepika gets you an exclusive conversation with a local Goa group who are performing at the red carpet since decades.
Hello and welcome to the opening ceremony of the 55th edition of IFFI, and right now we are with the Azevedo Serenaders who are going to perform at the red carpet. Tell us more about your group. How excited are you for the opening ceremony?
To be honest, we are excited every year for IFFI because it's happening in our Goa and we are Goans, so it's a very exciting thing, and it's a proud moment because it's International Film Festival, and this time it is the 55th International Film Festival. So looking forward and hope to see many more celebrities. As you know, we perform on the red carpet, so we welcome the celebrities who come for international cinema, panorama.
And you, I think, are a family together and you've been performing together for this. Since how long have you been doing this?
From the first, if you start in Goa, from that time we are playing.
And what is the changes that you've seen and the innovations that you've added in your performances?
At that time we were playing a brass band. So now we are playing that guitar and mandolin, that serenaders. That time we were playing that instrument, trumpet, saxophone, like that.
Talk about the instruments. Can you tell us more about it?
This is a violin.
which we play with the bow, and we have the string, so we play this thing with the bow. And we have guitar over here, then djembe and mandolin.
And do you make special tunes for it every time?
Yeah, go on.
All go on. What else is the innovation that you've added to your performance every time?
We, as Goans, first we talk less, we give more of music. Especially the Goans one. We are flavored with the Goan music. We will come to know later on how we'll play and how we do. So the difference is only thing we get to see different kinds of people from all over the states over here.
So there you heard that this is going to be a spectacular event filled with music and a lot of fun. With camera person Alok, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Goa.
We're all looking forward to the opening ceremony of the 55th IFFI, which will happen this evening in India. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And for those on the go, you can catch all the latest news and updates from India and the world on our DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja. From all of us here in New Delhi, thank you for watching. Namaskar.